You opened your phone for 2 minutes. 40 minutes passed. You don't remember most of what you saw. You don't feel better. You don't feel worse. You just feel empty. And somewhere in the back of your mind, a quiet thought surfaces. Why can't I stop doing this? That's not a willpower problem. That's not laziness. What's happening inside your brain right now has a name. And the science behind it is more unsettling than you think. There's a specific kind of mental fog that didn't exist 20 years ago. You sit down to do something. Read, think, write, create. And within minutes, the pull starts. Not a craving exactly. More like an itch you can't locate. So you pick up the phone. You scroll. A video. Another video. A meme. A clip. None of it particularly interesting. All of it impossible to stop. And when you finally put it down, the thing you were going to do feels harder than it did before. Your focus feels thinner. Your thoughts feel slower. Your patience for anything that requires more than 10 seconds of attention has quietly shrunk. Researchers describe this pattern as brain rot, a phenomenon marked by cognitive decline, attention deficits, and emotional desensitization from prolonged exposure to low-quality digital content. And in 2024, Oxford named it their word of the year. Not because it's a joke. Because millions of people recognized it as something real happening to them. The findings from research reveal something striking. Brain rot leads to emotional desensitization, cognitive overload, and a negative self-concept. Associated with doom scrolling, zombie scrolling, and a cycle of psychological distress that most people can't identify while they're in it. But here's what nobody is explaining clearly. Why does your brain keep doing this? Even when you know it's harming you? Before we go deeper, I want to name something important. You are not weak for struggling with this. The average person now spends approximately 7 to 10 hours daily on screens. Studies by neuroscientists have found correlations between excessive screen time and changes in gray matter volume, particularly in areas responsible for attention and decision-making. This is not a personal failure. You are living inside a system that was engineered by some of the most sophisticated behavioral scientists on the planet to keep you exactly where you are. The question isn't why you can't stop. The question is what that system is doing to your brain while you're in it. Here's the mechanism. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Your brain runs on dopamine. Dopamine is not the pleasure chemical. That's a myth. Dopamine is the anticipation chemical. It fires not when you get a reward, but when you expect one might be coming. This is why you keep scrolling. Not because the last video was good, but because the next one might be. Think of it like a slot machine. If every pull gave you a jackpot, you'd pull it a few times and stop. If it never gave you anything, you'd walk away. But a slot machine that rewards you randomly and unpredictably, that's the one you can't leave. That is the exact architecture of every short-form video feed ever built. Research shows that infinite scrolling mechanisms contribute to a perceived loss of self-control and negative internal states, creating psychological experiences that users find difficult to regulate independently. The behavioral patterns are characterized by binge scrolling, driven by satisfaction and cognitive dependency, establishing engagement cycles that exceed users' initial intentions and conscious awareness. But the dopamine loop is only half the story. The other half is what happens to your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain Responsible for focus, planning, patience, and deep thought. Every time you switch from one piece of content to the next in under 10 seconds, you are training your brain to expect constant novelty. And a brain trained on constant novelty becomes intolerant of stillness. Neuroscience research demonstrates that excessive digital stimulation can impair learning and memory acquisition, while altering brain structure and function, particularly in regions responsible for executive function. The mental model here is simple. Every hour of deep focus builds a muscle. Every hour of scrolling shrinks it. Not permanently, but consistently. And most people don't notice it happening until they sit down to do something meaningful and realize the muscle is barely there. So how do you actually reverse this? Not with willpower. Not with deleting your apps. With understanding how the brain rebuilds. Here are 4 principles, each one grounded in how your nervous system actually works. Principle number 1. Recognize the itch before you scratch it. The urge to scroll always begins as a physical sensation before it becomes a thought. A restlessness. A mild discomfort. A low hum of boredom. Before you reach for your phone, pause for 10 seconds. Name what you feel. I'm bored. I'm anxious. I'm avoiding something. This is called urge surfing in behavioral psychology. Observing the craving without immediately acting on it. Research shows that the peak of an urge lasts approximately 90 seconds before it begins to fade. You don't have to fight it. You just have to outlast it. Principle number 2. Replace variable rewards with fixed ones. The slot machine works because of unpredictability. You can disrupt that by replacing unpredictable scrolling sessions with activities that offer consistent, real rewards. Cooking a meal, reading a chapter. Going for a walk, making something with your hands. These activities don't give you dopamine spikes. They give you something more valuable. Dopamine stability, a baseline sense of satisfaction. That makes the scroll feel less necessary over time. In neuroscience, this is called rebuilding your reward baseline. And it is the foundation of breaking any compulsive digital habit. Principle number 3. Protect your first and last 30 minutes. Students who experienced brain rot most severely reported that their first strategy for recovery was self-regulation, specifically exercise, digital detox, and mindfulness practices. The most powerful version of this is protecting your transition windows. The first 30 minutes after waking, and the last 30 minutes before sleep. These are the moments when your brain is most impressionable and most vulnerable. What you feed it then sets the tone for everything else. No phone in the first 30 minutes of the day. No screen in the last 30 before sleep. That single boundary, held consistently, begins to rebuild the attention muscle faster than almost anything else. Principle number 4. Reintroduce boredom deliberately. This sounds strange. But boredom is not the enemy. Boredom is actually the state in which your default mode network activates. The part of your brain responsible for creativity, self-reflection, and deep processing. When you eliminate all boredom with scrolling, you eliminate the very mental space where your most interesting thoughts would have lived. Sit in a waiting room without your phone. Take a walk without headphones. Eat a meal without a screen. Not forever. Just occasionally. Let your brain remember what it feels like to be unstimulated. That discomfort you feel, that is the muscle waking up. Here is the one idea to carry with you. Brain rot is not about intelligence. It is about environment. Your brain is not broken. It is doing exactly what a brain does. When it is placed inside a system designed to exploit its deepest instincts. The dopamine loop, the attention fragmentation, the emotional numbness. None of it is a character flaw. All of it is a predictable response to an environment that was never designed with your well-being in mind. Change the environment, even slightly, and the brain begins to change with it. The fog you feel after an hour of scrolling is real. The version of you that can read deeply, think slowly, sit with an idea for an hour. That person still exists. They haven't gone anywhere. They're just waiting for you to put the phone down long enough to find them again. You don't have to fix everything at once. Start with 10 seconds. The urge comes, and you wait. 10 seconds. That is where it begins.